Drones are blowing up Russia, Putin and Trump are panicking over Iran, and G7 leaders are looking for ways to pressure Russia. This and other topics we'll discuss right now. My name is Irina Uzlova, and today with us is Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good evening, Irina.
On the night of June 16th, unknown drones attacked a Russian oil depot in the city of Orel. Why are strikes on the Russian oil refining industry so rare now? How do you think? Could, for example, the US have forbidden us from striking Russian oil refineries? Although now I hear more assessments that the current White House administration is not tying our hands.
No, current administration not tie in our hands because they don't supply us the weapon for these strikes and for any weapon. They don't supply any weapon. And these strikes, they executed by Ukraine-produced weapon. Ukraine produced huge drones. Yes, and after all, everybody sees that it really doesn't, the price of oil now does not depend on our strikes in Russian Federation. The price of oil now depends on absolutely other war between Israel and Iran, and nobody in United States cares about let's say the share of Russian Federation on the oil market of the world. Yeah. And for the Biden administration, it was important. They believed that our strikes, they somehow influenced the oil price, but not Trump administration.
A lot of economists told me for last days that this higher price for oil is only short-term jump. But how do you think? Can it really affect Russian economy for even such short-term period?
Well, I'm not an analytic in commodities, but from political point of view, I personally don't believe that this war could continue a long time. Because nobody, not Israel, not Iran, we don't have enough resources for that. And also the neighbor countries who now stopped, for example, the flights from United Arab Emirates or from other countries, were also don't ready to see this war too long. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I believe that Israel has some window of time for these strikes. I could measure it in about 1 month, I believe, maybe a little bit more. And also Iran, they couldn't survive, just economically survive during this war, and they will ask for mercy. They will ask for some peace agreement. And we also hear now some reports that Israel, via third parties, via third countries, they asked from Israel to stop bombing, and they are ready to stop their bombing Israel. Well, simultaneously, we are hearing the official position of Iran authorities and official position that they will continue to strike Israel till they destroy how they call it, Zionist regime in Israel. But obviously that is, I'm sorry, but that is a bullshit, a political official bullshit. The reality, they are ready to stop this war, I mean Iranian side, because they don't have now enough weapon for counterattack, and they don't have enough weapon for counter mission against Israel fighter bombers. So I believe that at least this war will stop during months, let's say. Mm-hmm. And the next step, you should ask analytics, but it's not non-analytic. I believe that prices of oil could come back to the previous level, because Iran is not the player on oil market. This is very important point. Iran is not the important player on oil market because of sanctions only. Yeah, they are the country with a huge amount of oil deposits, but they have sanctions from 1980s, during 40 plus years against their oil, and Iranian oil is not on the world market. You could buy that, or if you are some regime like Yemen, for example, or you can buy it illegally somewhere in Kurdistan, in Turkish border, but they are not player. So the quality of Iranian oil does not influence on the oil price so much. But all the general situation in the Middle East influence the price, and the security situation in Iraq, for example, security situation in Saudi Arabia, in Bahrain, and in other states of Gulf states, it influenced the price. So during this war, we are seeing not the price of Iranian oil, but mostly of Saudi and Iraqi oil. So there's a good chance that the price will come back. And about Russian revenues, yes, obviously during these weeks, for example, Russian revenues they went up, yeah, because when the oil price went up for 20%, so Russian revenues simultaneously went up for 20%.
Okay, Michael, Trump and World War III. Will the US enter war with Iran? And how can Trump even consider Putin a terrorist and a murderer to be a negotiator in this process?
Well, obviously, Trump believes in Putin somehow, somewhere, from some reason, which he never disclosed. He believes that Putin is his friend. He believes this Putin is strong leader. He believes that Putin is open guy, and I could bring more and more and other explanations. And for example, his friend of Mr. Trump, Mr. Vitskov, said that he believes to Mr. Putin, that Mr. Putin very smart guy, etc., etc., etc. So that is absolutely vice versa, absolutely opposite. Disclaimer about Putin, like we have from any other leaders. Any other leaders of the world knows Putin as just a killer, and this is the quote from Mr. Biden, and somebody who can't be trusted. And now I could quote also the fresh quote, not the old one, but from President of France, from Emmanuel Macron. He, during his visit to Greenland, by the way, Danish territory, not US territory, he said that Putin couldn't be part of his negotiation process because Russia is not trusted country, Putin is not trusted leader, and Russia is violating the rules of United Nations. And so that means that Russia couldn't be the peace dealer in any peace process. Then the country, Russian Federation, started the biggest war in 21st century.
Yes, really, and I agree with Macron, as you, I believe. Do you think there is still a place for peace deal between Iran and Israel after that month, about what you mentioned earlier?
Yes, absolutely, yes. It will not be peace deal between Iran and Israel. I should say, yeah, because there were never peace deal between Iran and Israel. They don't have diplomatic relationship. And before the war, I mean the war which continued just 4 days, but before this war, for example, for Israel citizens, me is Israel citizen, it is banned to visit Iran, not only by Iranian authorities, it is banned, but also by Israel authorities. Iran is the country in a state of war with Israel. And for example, if I am going to visit Iran as tourist, so I will go to prison in Israel for this. So we are not speaking about any peace deal between Iran and Israel, but it is possible to make some deal between Iran and US and Israel and US as the third party. So it will be something like third party deal. And I still believe, yeah, because it is very difficult to Israel to destroy Iran totally. Like to Ukrainian army, we could win Russian Federation, but probably we can't destroy Russian Federation and to just to smash it from the globe. So the same Iran. Iran is a very big country, huge country with 90 million people. And Iran is bigger than Israel by population. Multiplier is 9, 10 million in Israel and 90 million in Iran. And by square kilometers, it is multiplier of 74. So you understand, yeah, the territory of Iran is 74 times the territory of Israel. So it is difficult to Israel, for example, to occupy Iran. There is not enough people to occupy Iran. So this war has only two possible ends. One of them is somehow Israel success in removing Iran regime of Ayatollahs, Islamic Republic of Iran, and the change of regime in Iran to democratic state or to comeback of Sheikh dynasty or something like that. This is one possible grande finale of this war. And Israel wants this, yeah, but Israel does not have enough, enough not only weapon but enough tools for that. So it is possible, but it couldn't be guaranteed. And the second possibility is any peace deal between Israel, United States, and Iran. And so it is very possible because, you know, Iran does not have unlimited number of these ballistic missiles. And especially the starting points, the tools to send ballistic missiles. These machines which send ballistic missiles, Iran had about 360 when the war started. And during 3 first days of the war, Israel air forces, they destroyed about 30% of that. So it looks like during months they will destroy just everything.
Michael, you know, our colleague, journalist, TV host Vitaly Portnikov mentioned that Israel doesn't have much of a choice, either to harm the Iranian nuclear program and convince Tehran of the impossibility of its plans for a Jewish state in the Middle East, or to disappear. And what it means to disappear, Jews know not only in theory, because the grandparents of many modern Israelis disappeared in the Holocaust. So this is what makes the Israeli-Iranian conflict reminiscent of the Ukrainian-Russian one, because Moscow doesn't particularly hide the fact that the main goal of this war is the liquidation of Ukraine's statehood. The end is ultimately the same. If Russia wins, Ukraine and the Ukrainians will disappear, because cannibals do not earn, they eat. So how to stop cannibals, all cannibals, and maybe more pressure, because this is really a different part of one big war.
Yeah, I agree that this is different part of one big war, and we could see that also directly. When we compared our two wars, the war between Ukraine and Russia, the war between Ukraine and Israel and Hamas with Gaza Strip, it was difficult to see that. It was also the fact that this is the parts of one war. But to another people, it was difficult to see this complementarity of these two wars. But now it is obvious, because Russia and Iran, they have military connections, they have military agreement, and Russians, they use a lot of Iranian weapon on the war. They use also the artillery shells. 10% of Russian artillery shells were from Iran. 50%, by the way, from North Korea. 10% from Iran, and only 40% from the Soviet storages. The drones, at the beginning of the war, Russia had only Iranian drones, only Iranian. Russians, they can't produce the drones themselves. They don't have engineering, they don't have science, etc., etc. All the drones, they were supplied by Iranians. And now during last years, Iranians, they built factories inside Russian Federation for producing drones. But these drones, you need to renew these drones every week because also the another side renew these counter missiles, counter drone missiles. So only Iranian scientists and only Iranian engineers could do this change, not Russians. Russians, they are not, they don't have enough educated people and practitioners, and they don't have any laboratories, etc. And Iran supplied everything. So Iran and Russian Federation, they are obviously together in this war against Ukraine. And when you see Iran in the war against Israel, you could understand that this is also Russian war. Russians, in their turn, they also pay money to Iran. Russians, they let's say, help to Iran to sell illegally their oil, and they sell it with a gold, physical gold, not the money, because all Iranian banks they banned by sanctions. So Russia just bring the physical gold to Iran for this oil, and Russia also supply military specialists, and Russia also supply some. Counter missiles, counter missiles, and I believe that number of them also were killed in Israel attacks. So this is obviously one war. How to stop that? I would pay attention to the meeting which started just today in Canada, to J7 meeting, because this is the historical chance for finding the united decision for two wars together. Because on one hand, United States want from Europe to support Israel in this war. And Europe traditionally does not support Israel in wars. But now US wants it. Yeah. And Europe wants United States to support the sanctions against Russian Federation and to supply weapons to Ukraine. This is the part which Europe needs. So now, if we sit together, President Trump and Prime Minister of Japan and leaders of four European biggest states, biggest from economy point of view, and Prime Minister of Canada, so we could find the integrated decision in this. So United States joins the European sanctions and supply the weapon to Ukraine. Maybe Europe pay for that. And Europe, they maybe supply also weapon to Israel and support Israel in this war. So together it is possible to really to put the to defeat also Iran and Russia simultaneously.
Yes, and Ukraine's G7 allies plan to use the meeting in Canada to discuss not only question of weapon, for example, but question of sanctions, stronger sanctions against Russian Federation, and their pressure by G6 against Donald Trump because they wanted to motivate Donald Trump to put more pressure on Russia and tighten sanctions against the aggressor country. Do you see success in such an initiative by these countries? And one more adding news that Maria Zakharova, the official representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russian Federation, reported today that another round of negotiations between the aggressor country Russia and the United States has been cancelled at the initiative of Washington. Maybe this is that moment when Putin has finally pissed off Trump.
Well, about the first question, when you ironically called this group G6, so I should a little bit to give a small amendment. It is G5 against Trump and neutral Japan.
Yes.
This is real fact. This is not only our fantasy, because yesterday evening, I mean Sunday evening, late evening in Canada, there was informal meeting of 5 countries. Of Prime Minister of Canada, Chancellor of Germany, Prime Minister of UK and Italy, and President of France. So 5 countries, they gathered together in informal meeting before they meet Mr. Trump and Prime Minister of Japan. And they discussed exactly, no, I can't say these ideas that like I brought that, I don't know exactly. But they mentioned after that on press conference that they discussed also the question of Iran-Israel war and the question of new sanctions. This is the first. Second, there was a very important event which happened on Sunday when the delegations they just were on their way to Canada. President Macron stopped in Greenland, stopped his plane, his jet in Greenland's capital city, Nuuk, and he came not alone to Greenland. He came on his plane together with Prime Minister of Denmark, Mrs. Frederiksen. And they met the Prime Minister of Greenland. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. Greenland is the autonomy of Denmark, and Macron came to this unpredictable visit to support Greenland as a part of Denmark, to support the Greenland and Denmark as a part of Europe against United States openly. He said we are not ready for U.S. invasion, military invasion to Greenland, and we will defend Greenland from United States. That is very interesting. It is very interesting in any day, this visit and these quotes. But it is especially interesting when you are going to meet Mr. Trump, and on the way to your meeting with Mr. Trump, you make these declarations. You stop, especially in Greenland, and make these declarations. I am not sure that any president of France ever visited Greenland. I don't know, but I could believe that it would never happen, in the history. So it is very, very important political declaration. And de facto, President Macron declared a war to President Trump in this situation, And he said, no. This is our country. This is our European land, Greenland, and not your American land, etc.
Our interest is our impact, yes, without.
Yeah. So I believe that this discussion will be continued in the personal meeting between Macron and Trump. And this is not discussion only about Greenland. This is the general discussion about the relationship between Europe and US. Because the last move from President Trump towards Macron was very unfriendly. About a month ago, Mr. President Macron visited Kyiv together with his colleagues from UK, Germany, and Poland. And they, together with President Zelensky, they called President Trump and agreed that they will start common sanctions against Russian Federation starting from May 12th if Russia does not stop fire till May 12th. And we know that President Trump just breached his agreement, and he didn't do that. Europe, they put the new sanctions, and America not. And from this time, Mr. Macron never said anything about Trump's participation in this process and about Trump's negotiation with Russian Federation. And now he comes to Greenland, and at the same time, he also speaks about participation of Putin in this peace process with Iran, etc., etc. This is obviously diplomatic and political war against President Trump. It is a very important move. And President Macron, who we saw that he had a good relationship with Trump, suddenly starts this war. And we will see. I don't know what will be the result of this war on this meeting, but we could hope that they will do at first peace agreement between Europe and the United States.
Yes, Really unusual things, and we are watching it really online. One more topic: the aggressor country Russia will demand that Ukraine destroy Western weapons received as military aid. This was the raving of Deputy Foreign Minister of the Russian Federation, Alexander Grushko. Izvestia reported on Monday, June 16th. According to him, Western weapons supplied to Ukraine must be guaranteed to be reduced and disposed of. To what extent does this ultimatum demonstrate that Russia doesn't need any negotiations at all in Russian-Ukrainian war and is simply standing for time while the genocidal goals of its war do not change?
Well, that sounds like a stupid joke by this deputy minister of Russian Federation, because that is like, I can't describe that as Kafkianian ideas. And let's say about the next round of negotiation, it's very difficult to speak about next round of negotiation when we see two absolutely different statements from both sides.
Yes.
On one hand, Mr. Putin, who called President Trump just a couple of days ago, he said to President Trump that he will organize the new negotiation round after June 22nd. Nobody knows what does it mean June 22nd. What is this day except of starting of Russian war against German in 80 years ago, 85 years ago, but it is not connected anyway, yeah? So somehow he says that he will renew the negotiation with Ukraine after June 22nd. Ukrainian side, we heard yesterday the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine who said that we are not ready to continue the negotiation because we don't have any topics in this negotiation. Well, we have the humanitarian questions, but humanitarian questions, you don't need peace talks. We exchange prisoners, we exchange dead bodies of the soldiers, yes, but it does not connect it to any peace process, to any ceasefire, and nobody has the offer on the table. Yes, Russians, they have Ukrainian offer, and they don't ready to discuss about that, and they just keep silence. Americans, Mr. Trump, he asked, and President Trump and Kit Kellogg, his special envoy, they asked Ukraine to prepare the, let's say, memorandum of Ukrainian offer to the peace process, and Ukraine prepared. And Ukraine in this memorandum went to a lot of compromises. For example, Ukraine is ready to stop the war on the current front line for now. And nobody from American side give any reactions. So we don't have any reactions during weeks. So what we should do the next step? Russians, they also brought their memorandum, and this memorandum have no compromises, absolutely, and they are not ready to withdraw their forces, their armies. And also we have no reaction for this Russian memorandum, not from President Trump, not from Kit Kellogg, so we don't know what they think about that, absolutely. So it is absolutely senseless to go to the next round. But I believe that President Trump again will ask Zelensky to send somebody to this negotiation, because somebody, it means, are you ready to send anybody, just anybody, somebody from Ukrainians? Yeah, we are ready. Because Russia sent some writer, Mr. Medinsky, who is just writer, yeah, poetry or novels, I don't know what he writes. So Ukraine also should send some writer or poet to this discussion. And by the way, the chairman of NATO, General Secretary of NATO, Mr. Rutte, he paid an attention to the Russian delegation and said, why they sent a writer to peace process if they want peace process? Mr. Putin, President Putin should negotiate, not some poet, Russian poet, Pushkin should negotiate that, yeah.
Yes, or maybe some of, pseudo-scientific escape literature. It's like a genre of Medinsky, only different unknown fantasy. Michael, thank you very much for your realistic comments and opinions, for your time and for this conversation. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. My name is Irina Uzlova. Thank you guys for joining us. Subscribe, please, to our YouTube channel, War and Politics 24. And Sheitelman, you see active link under this video. Take care. See you next week.